Welcome to Spark Unlocked. We've talked about training the body. Today we're shifting the focus over to something just as powerful, the mind. How does our mental state affect our performance, our energy, and our overall physical results? How can we build mental fitness the same way as we build physical strength? To unpack this, I'm joined by Fatima Al Sulaiman, a clinical psychologist with FSHN, with a master's degree in psychology of mental health from the University of Edinburgh. Fatima works with clients with mood, anxiety, and personality disorders, integrating therapeutic techniques to help build people's resilience and to reach their full potential.
Well, thank you for introducing me. I'm actually very happy to be here and to speak a bit more about mental health.
Yeah. So we hear about mental health a lot.
Yeah.
So how does mental health impact our mental fitness?
Oh, all the time. I think people take for granted just how much of an impact things like depression and anxiety have on your actual body. I think a lot of times people don't recognize that a lot of the pain they carry in their bodies is very much psychological. And when you train the body, you help the mind. But if there's stuff happening in the mind, you need to address that as well in order to reach your full potential on all fronts.
Yeah, and what do you find is the most common thing with people, say, who are having effects on their mental health? What's the most common signs you see in the body?
Well, a lot of times when you see people who struggle with depression, they often have fatigue, like literal physical fatigue. They struggle with sleep, so they have insomnia or hypersomnia, and they're either sleeping too much, too little. Loss of appetite is another thing. So if you are a person who is going to the gym and you want to maintain a certain physique or a certain fitness level, if you can't bring yourself to eat because you've got some depressive symptoms, it's going to impact your body. If you're experiencing fatigue, that's going to impact your body. You can't expect to show up at the gym and give your full potential when your body and your mind are not really in the best headspace, as it were.
I want to ask, because I see a lot of my clients how it starts off as something small, okay? And then it can escalate and not just, they're not just not eating and they're not just sleeping, but it also affects other things in the body as well. So I can see other illnesses too. Is this something common that you see on a day-to-day basis?
Absolutely. People don't really catch mental health, and they don't come in until it's really, really bad. They come in when life has just drawn to a halt and they can't bring themselves to go to work, they can't go to the gym, they're isolating from people, they don't want to interact anymore. But you don't just wake up that way. Usually it's a build-up of things. It's like, today I'm feeling a bit low. 2 months later, I've got a few more symptoms. I'm feeling very low, I'm feeling like I can't sleep, I can't eat, or I'm eating a lot. And when you're working with somebody, I can imagine as a trainer in the gym, and you watch their physical progression, you might also see different things showing up, like, okay, well, I know her, I know she can give this capacity, so what's showing up today? Why can't she give? And they may not even catch it, they may not even know. People don't realize. I mean, I remember when I had a phase of depression, I didn't realize until I was out of my depression that, I had depression. Because you're just going about your day, every day, day in, day out, doing your thing, and the next thing you know, you're like, I'm really not feeling it today.
Yeah.
It's tough, but it certainly starts gradual.
Yeah, and I think what you said there is really valuable. I think as a coach, you recognise the signs actually sometimes before they say them, because you know them so well. Like if I've been training my clients for 10 years, I can say, what's wrong with their mood today? And then if it's something the next week, I almost feel as well, it's kind of, they don't want to talk about it either. It's almost like, let's not admit to this. Let's not admit I'm struggling.
Oh, this is huge, actually. When you bring up that point, this is a really, really good point, because a lot of times people don't want to admit. Because when I admit it and I say it out loud, that means it's real. Right now I've just said it, that means I have to do something about it. How do I even face that? And I notice a lot, especially with people who are gym enthusiasts, they often run to fitness as a form of coping, and I know it is a brilliant form of coping. It is so effective, especially for people who struggle with depression. You've got to get out, you've got to move your body. But a lot of times there is a big component of denial. Like, I'm just going to go here, I'm going to train, I'm going to exhaust myself so I don't have to look at what's going on the other side.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And then it's an ongoing cycle, because then they say, I'm not training as well, I'm not lifting the same. The programme, can we switch the programme? I do. I see that a lot, and it's almost, you have to try and get them to be vulnerable with how they're feeling.
and humans hate that.
Yes.
They hate it.
Yeah, of course.
Vulnerability feels unsafe, it feels scary, and also a lot of times I can imagine people who are enthusiastic about fitness, they want to be perceived as strong. They want to be perceived as resilient. So for me to show up in front of you as my coach, as anything but that, for some people can feel like a letdown. I'm letting my coach down if I show up as not my best.
Yeah.
You know, you can't help it.
Yeah, you can't. And that's why I think the gym also has to be a safe space too for them. Even if it's not just their coach, it's their gym besties or whatever, you know, they have to feel safe there too.
That's really, really important. That's very true. For a lot of people, I hear this when I'm working with people. The gym is my haven, right? I go to the gym and I know everything's okay there. It's just me and my world. And they love it, and it helps. It really does.
Yeah. And they often feel they can open up more there. So I know we just touched on how our mind can affect our body and vice versa. Can you just give me your perspective from kind of a clinical view?
Right.
Yeah.
So actually what you're mentioning here brings up a lot of things for me in my day-to-day work. So there's this concept called psychosomatic symptoms. And what this is basically psychological symptoms that manifest in the physiological body.
Okay.
A lot of people end up seeing their gym coach, and the gym coach goes like, hey, there's something off, but I don't know what it is. Go to your physio. So they go to the physio's working and working and working, and this random pain in their shoulders doesn't seem to go away. So then after a few tries, they're like, hey, maybe you need to go check with a psychologist. So they end up in my office, right? And they have a seat, and they sit down, and I'm like, what's going on? Well, my physiotherapist sent me here because apparently there's pain and it's psychological. I'm like, okay, let's see what's going on. So we unpack with time that there's something they're holding that they're not really addressing psychologically. But the more you try and mute something psychologically, it will show up. Your body will speak about what's actually happening. So a lot of people do know that IBS is directly related to anxiety. So when people say, oh, I inherited my IBS from, my parents, what you actually are telling me is you inherited your anxiety from your parents.
Okay.
It's a direct
That's such an interesting approach to that.
It is, because really when you work, and you can see the results, when you work with the problem behind the symptom, then you actually work out what's going on. Because symptoms are just trying to speak, right?
Yeah.
That's really what it is. A lot of people want to mute symptoms. I've got backache, I'm going to take a painkiller today. Okay, but you still got backache. When you wake up tomorrow, you're still going to have the backache.
Yeah.
So what's it trying to say? A lot of times people carry anger, a lot of anger, but maybe it's not appropriate for them to express it. It shows up in a muscle, it shows up in the body, and there's this tension, and it's like, what's going on? Why are you angry? No, it's nothing. The symptom's trying to speak to you. So many, many, many times people come in and they have psychosomatic symptoms. It's a real thing and it can be fixed.
Yeah, of course. Of course, it's a lot of the time, whether you have that weakness in your body, if you're feeling stressed, it's going to show up there. This is your weak area, and also when people go into overthinking a lot, I can say they're overthinking, and suddenly 2 sessions later, oh, coach, I have this pain in my shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's really just from overthinking life and just in general how they are. Yeah.
That's so true. In fact, a lot of people who struggle with migraines or struggle with headaches actually have a lot of overthinking going on. It's a direct relationship, right? Where are you overthinking? I'm overthinking here. Where's the pain?
Yeah.
No surprise. Your body is speaking if you are willing to listen. But the more you silence, the bigger the problem will be. And eventually, you won't be able to silence it.
Yeah. So I guess your job then is kind of to create that awareness for them to understand their body and understand the moment when they are starting to overthink, they are starting to maybe get a little bit anxious, and just to pause and understand.
Absolutely. It's like creating the language between you and your body. You two aren't speaking. You don't speak the same language at current. So let's look at how we can bridge that.
Yeah.
And when you start to understand what your body's saying, then you build that harmony. Then your symptoms will start to disappear. And I promise you they will. Things like skin issues have such deep meanings. Things like, again, digestive, any kind of muscular pain, any kind of... Well, shoulder pain is associated with carrying a lot of responsibility. A lot of times people who carry a lot of responsibility in their lives have a lot of shoulder pain because you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, quite literally.
Yeah. And I've also seen ladies who have a lot of hip tension in their pelvis area. That's because they're carrying a lot of maybe trauma or anxiety.
Yes.
And so if we do a little bit mobility session with them, they feel so much better after.
Absolutely. It's a known fact that trauma is stored stored in the hips. And the hips and your lower back are associated with feelings of safety and security. So when that's lacking in your outside life, it will show up as pain in that area.
So we often hear people say, I'm fatigued, I'm burnt out. These are things that are thrown around a lot. So what do we need to actually look at? What's happening behind that? What are the real concerns behind that?
Right, so what you said is really interesting because it's true. People normalize, because it's spoken about so quickly and easily, like, oh, I'm just tired, I'm just irritable today, I'm just fatigued, no one's born that way, right? So that's not actually your default state of being. But if it's your everyday now, you normalize it and you just pretend that, hey, it's just another one of those days. But if you pay attention, irritability is a symptom of depression, right? Irritability can be found in the life of someone who does so much for everyone, but not much for themselves. But they're still going to the gym, right? So I'm still good with my nutrition, I'm still good with my fitness, I'm still going to my job. That's true. These are all great things. But what else is going on that's making you irritable? Because you were not born irritable, right? If you are fatigued, how much is your body carrying that it's struggling to carry? How much overload are you trying to normalize before the body shuts down? And then there are people who get sick quickly, right? They have every time there's a cold, they've got the cold, right? Every time there's a flu, they've got the flu. But they're surprised because it's like, well, I'm fit, right? And I have got great nutrition and I hydrate and I try and sleep. That's true. Like, these are all really important. But if your physical body is tired because it's carrying a lot of psychological stuff, even if you sleep, your immune system will struggle. Your nervous system cannot continue to sustain the amount of weight and pressure we place upon it. So the next time someone says, I'm just irritable today, or I'm just fatigued today, it depends if you're in the mood for a conversation, but you could just be like, how long have you been feeling this way? It's like a cliche therapist thing to say, but honestly, it's a question we ask, because unless someone asks you, how long have you had these headaches, or how long have you had this IBS, no one's going to think about it, because that's just my everyday. Why would I think about it?
Of course, of course. And then they can know how they're feeling, but then they don't really understand what's happening. And I say a lot of the time as well, ladies say I'm fine. They're doing everything they possibly can do. They look the most strongest person in the world. They have everything together. They're well put together. They perform well in the gym. They eat well. They're a brilliant mum, a brilliant parent. But yet you can see slowly, there's something happening within them. And I'm fine, coach, I'm fine. But no, they're not really fine.
I'm fine as a defense. I'm fine as a protector. So if I say to you, I'm fine, that enables me to keep going. If I ever admit that I'm anything but fine, I don't want to fall apart, and I will, you know? So I'm fine is just don't push it, leave me, I'm doing this. And someone can keep saying I'm fine, and no one can make them sit with what's really happening until they're ready to do that. Right? Even if you call it out 2-3 times a week, like, hey, I know you're not okay. No, I'm fine. Because she's not ready to go there. You know, but you see it, it's obvious.
Yeah, of course. I think it's the approach as well. Don't focus on you're not fine. Focus on, oh, what have you done today? What happened last week? Yeah, how did you sleep? You know, what's happening with this? Yeah, tiptoe around it. I think you learn because you understand yourself. You understand when somebody comes directly in.
You're not okay.
What's wrong with you? Why aren't you smiling? What's happening?
I don't want to smile.
So, and I think, and especially as well, men and ladies, when they're in a position where they're seen as the strong person or they're seen as successful, then you can never let anybody say you're anything but.
Exactly, especially if you carry the responsibility of the whole house. Let's say if you're the sibling that everybody turns to, or your mum, super mum, right? You've got like 4 kids and you're just, 2 jobs and I don't know what else going on. You are the super person. I cannot afford to be not fine. So don't go there, please. Kind of thing,
And then if you have this narrative in your head, then you won't ever admit it to yourself either.
No, because that's a threat. If I admit it, then I fall apart. I cannot afford to fall apart. I've got to keep doing this.
So if you were to give advice on the type of questions, say if you notice your family member, your friend, or your colleague, what type of questions would you say were the best way to approach it if you know somebody's not fine?
Well, to be honest, the things you actually said are very, very good. You just tiptoe around it, especially if you know someone's really guarded. So you just go like, oh, how's your week been? How was your weekend? Did you get any downtime? Did you get to rest? Have you spent any time alone recently? Nobody wants to do that, Very few people like being alone. because it's a scary place to be if I'm alone, because I'm with my thoughts and I'm with my feelings. But sometimes that's what you need. You need to be alone. So it's like another thing you could ask is, what are you doing this week for you?
Amazing. I really like that question.
That's like, ooh, what do you mean for me? Why? What?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it throws people off, but it's a gentle way to just get them to think about it. Like, what am I doing this week for me? If anything.
So good. And also trying to relate to them of like, I really felt exhausted yesterday. There was so much happening. I had people asking me to do so much. I was just overwhelmed. I went home and just needed to breathe and pause.
Yes.
And then I think when they see you feeling like that, they almost can relate.
Absolutely, because then that's you creating a safe space. A lot of people don't want to admit to it because, again, I need to be strong, right? Especially in front of you, I need to be strong. I need to present myself in a certain way. So if the person who I'm trying to show up strong in front of is able to say, hey, even I struggle, that creates a safe space for someone to go, yeah, you know what, me too. And then
judgment.
Yeah, exactly. The door is open and they can talk.
Yeah. So we live in a very high performance world. So how can we chase success without burning out?
So this is a great question because a lot of the times you can't keep up. It doesn't matter what you try and do, you can't keep up. It's not sustainable to try and maintain this high performance. So my first question back to you would be, why have the standards been set to that? So if somebody wants to chase success, what's their standard? Is it my standard of success, or is it according to so-and-so? I want to be like so-and-so. I want to make sure I'm like them. I want to make sure I reach that. Because that is the key to burnout. If you want to burn out, stop comparing yourself to other people's success. It's not sustainable. You've got to be really realistic and assess where you are in life. What's success to me? How can I achieve success according to my own, guidelines? According to, you're not supposed to be racing everybody else. You're on your own path, your own journey. The only person you're racing is yourself, and that's just a choice. So we are in a really, really high or fast-paced world. We forgot how to slow down. In fact, for a lot of people, when you try and get them to slow down, they freak out.
Yeah, of course. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
I see it a lot in therapy. I'm sitting with people and they talk so fast. They're like this, and they're just talking so quickly, and I'm like, what? Who's chasing you?
Yeah.
Why? Why did you need to become this? Right? Because if you're in a state where that's your daily functioning, you are already trying to burn, or you are already heading to burnout. But who are you competing against? Why are we running so fast? And what are you running from? What would happen if you weren't as successful as them? What would happen if you were just successful for you and that was enough?
You try to get them to visualize their life in a way how they feel comfortable. And I also think a lot of the time success is what other people believe they should be doing.
That's the problem.
How they should be achieving in life. Or, for example, say when I was an athlete, obviously I needed to run as fast as possible.
Yeah.
I needed to be successful, but the moment I decided to change career, then you have a lot of people saying, oh no, you should do this, you should do that. So I understand that, because so then success to me was a different phase of life. So, and I say this with my clients as well.
That's beautiful.
So it's about letting them understand exactly what you said. What is success? What is success not compared to this person? How do you see, if you want to achieve this, what are the steps you would take? What are the small steps?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You've got to stop racing people. Because first you'll burn out, it's not sustainable, and you won't win. You're never going to win a race that someone else is running. It's not your race to run, So you're going to burn out halfway and then feel disappointed, feel less successful than you would if you were just on your own path, doing your own race, figuring out where your lines are. Just because they want to, I don't know what they want to do in their day, they want to do all these billion, trillion things in their life. It doesn't mean that that's for you. What people essentially are chasing is behind success. It's not success, really. That's the idea. What people chase is the feeling they'll get after the success. Will they think I'm enough? Will they feel like I've done enough? Will I be appreciated finally? Will I finally be seen if I achieve A, B, C, and D, and Z?
So what you're saying there, if I'm hearing correctly, is it's outside validation, really. It's external motivation.
A lot of times. And even if you say to someone, who are you trying to impress? They'll say myself, right? But when did that become your standard? Who taught you that standard? Because you didn't just wake up and come into this world with these crazy expectations and standards. Someone placed them there. Someone showed you that that's what's acceptable. So you're still running someone else's race, essentially.
Yeah. And also success, you know, it can go in a different direction. You can go in one direction and come back. You can go backwards and come forwards. By going backwards, you're going to be able to learn more.
Yes.
I see this a lot as well where, say they've had a bad week's training or a bad month's training. That's it. They think that's it. It's over. But actually what they've learned in that month shows that the next month they do so much better. There's so much lessons to be learned and not achieving exactly what you want in that moment. So let's talk about social media. We live in such an influencer world. How do you think that impacts our mental health?
My God, all the time. All the time. Especially when we reference the high-paced life or fast-paced life in combination with social media. It's like our attention span is like minimal these days. People can't watch anything past 10 seconds. Actually, that's grace. They can't watch anything past 6 seconds because it's just they can't pay attention to what's going on. That's why you've got, you know, things like shorts, so you've got things like what they call reels.
Yeah, reels,
right?
Yeah.
It's just like one thing after another, after another, after another, because you've just got to have content all the time. And when it comes to watching the people on social media, because everything is so fast-paced, you forget that they've got help. You know, that's another thing. It's like you are watching someone's perfect life. You don't know how many people are showing up behind the scenes to make sure that their life shows up as perfect. They've got their accounts manager, they've got their social media manager, they've got their finance manager, they've got their makeup artists, they've got their, well, you name it. They've got someone to do something for them all the time. And you're in your world, right? And you might be struggling with what you're struggling with. And it's like, wow, I'm never going to be that. No, because you're not meant to be that.
Yeah.
And even that's not sustainable. How long can somebody keep living in that bubble? You know, a lot of times when you do hear these videos or interviews from these people who are famous or social media people, and they start talking really about what's going on, they're not that happy. They're not as happy as we might perceive them to be.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it's not realistic. Everybody has struggles in life. It's part of life. You're not supposed to be on a high all the time. It's supposed to be ups and downs. It's just, that is norm. But when it's glorified on your phone that there is this magical life out there that you don't have, it puts you in a state of comparison. You're just constantly thinking, wow, look what she has that I don't. Look what they have that I don't. It's like constant, because it's the quickest thing that humans do. They're just quick to compare.
Yeah.
But that never leaves you feeling good. And that's why you hear a lot of people talk about digital detox these days. They're recognizing that being away is good.
Of course, yeah. And I think it's not just success and happiness, it's also the physical appearance as well. The physical appearance and the standards, the unrealistic standards now that people are setting. I think you have this comparison a lot.
Plus AI, right?
Yeah, plus, and now we have AI.
So like, as if the unrealistic beauty standards were not enough, now you've got AI to make sure they look really unachievable. You know, and the thing is, you watch so much content where you actually, if you're not careful, start to believe it is attainable. You start to think, wait, I don't have excuses, I need to be like that. But it's not attainable. You know, I work with a lot of people who struggle with body image disorders, or they struggle with self-esteem, or they struggle with any kinds of eating disorders. It has such an impact on people. It can be quite triggering when you are constantly exposed to what people think you should be, or what you think people want you to be. But you forget that, hey, here is what I have, here is who I am. Why is this not enough? When did this stop becoming enough? And then every day, the first thing you see and the last thing you see before you go to bed is all this unrealistic feed over and over and over again. Puts you in a headspace that's difficult to come out of. You know, when you go to the gym the next day, it's like, I have to work harder. Your body's just trying to get by, and that's not enough. You know, it puts us in a state of lack of gratitude.
It's like this one image, and that's how everyone should be, men and women.
Yeah, copy paste.
Yeah, copy paste. And I think of course that can really bring somebody down, and even if they're doing really well in what they're doing, let's just focus on the gym. Even if they're doing really well in what they're doing and they're progressing so well, it just takes them 10 seconds, 2 seconds, let's say, to go on social media, and that's all gone.
Shatters everything you just did, and you felt good with it too. You leave the gym feeling really good. It's like, hey, I did a good job today. Within seconds, you're like, oh, didn't do good enough.
Yeah.
That not enough thing is, I think, crisis of the world, really.
And how can I also ask, you know, we have a lot of fitness influencers, So they kind of affect our job. We have coaches who are educated and doing what we need to do. What about when you have influencer psychologists online or...
Oh, yeah. I love that question. Okay, so have you heard of toxic positivity?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a glorified state of being that you're healed when you're always positive, or you're healed when you're always okay. That's not normal. That's actually abnormal. That's not okay. And when people come in with this mindset of no, everything's fine, like we mentioned, no, everything's not fine, and that's just a front that you use to keep yourself shielded. So glorifying this state of I'm healed is not really a thing. There's no such thing. You never stop growing, you never stop developing, you never stop healing, you never stop experiencing. There's no one destination to reach and then that's it, I'm great. You know, people come in and out of therapy all the time. This phase of my life I needed support, so I go to therapy. The next phase of my life, I'm okay. I come back to my therapist 10 years later, I'm going through something now. Guess what? You're human. That's so normal to do that. You're supposed to go through phases.
And just talking about people going to therapy, sometimes even people who don't really feel like there's anything going on, it's always nice just to go and just to talk as well. Just to talk and then you discover things.
Yeah, this happens a little bit, and I think it's due to the stigma. We have a lot of stigma. I think globally there's stigma about going to a psychologist, but more so here than anywhere else. The idea is that I can't speak about what's happening because A, I don't trust the person not to say something. B, if I speak about it, I'm afraid that there is something I don't want to know, right? So when it comes to people who are afraid, it's like, I don't blame you. You know, we just said earlier, vulnerability is really uncomfortable for people. It's scary to be vulnerable. So when people come in and they're like, no, I'm fine, I don't really need to be here, I'm like, okay, that's fine. But we go to the GP to check, don't we? We go to the doctors every now and then just to do blood tests, right? We go to the dentist just to do teeth cleaning or maybe just a checkup. You go get a facial every now and then. You do your checkups. Why is mental health not one of them? And it's so crucial. It's your everyday. Your mood is literally a big component of how you feel every single day. So what is so scary about going just to check up? Hey, and maybe if it's not for you, you don't need to come back. That's fine. You're not gonna walk into a therapist's office and be like, oh my God, you've got everything wrong with you. That's people's nightmare. I don't want to hear that. What am I gonna do with that? No, it's like, hey, maybe, you know what? Maybe I just lost a pet and I just need to sit with someone, spend that time talking about that. Maybe, you know what? I had car issues and then my boss was upset with me and that just happened last week and last week was heavy for me. Okay, I can just go and just speak about it and hash it out. And I leave and I'm fine. I don't need to see you again. It doesn't always have to be a catastrophe, you know? People leave it late.
Sometimes it's nice to talk to somebody who's not emotionally attached to what you're going through or not aware of who you are as a person already. And that is, I think a lot of people say, why should you go to a therapist? You have your friends. You can just go vent to your friends. But the thing is, what we do in therapy is not just venting or complaining. That's not therapy. That's not work. That's you using a space to release, but we're not doing any work there. What we actually do in therapy is to sit with how you're feeling and explore what it means to you. What's happening in your life? What does this mean to you? I'm not just sitting there silently. I'm not selling you. I'm not trying to sit there and rent you my ears for an hour. You have your tools, you have your process and things.
I'm not helping you. If I sit there with you and just let you vent for an hour, I'm really not helping you. You know, so that's why, like you said, speaking to your friends, you know, when you speak to a therapist, it's someone outside of your life. They can zoom out, they can see your life from a different angle. When you speak to your friends, hey, they're emotionally involved. They love you, they care about you, they're defensive, they're protective of you sometimes. So when you have relationship issues and you go and tell your friends, oh, leave him, he's terrible, he's bad, and they mean well, but they're invested in your life, you know, so they can't zoom out and see different angles. And that's kind of the point of therapy.
So you would recommend that anybody listening, even if they feel fine, they're okay, just go and talk.
Hey, it doesn't have to be a problem. And you don't have to wait until it's too heavy to carry. Why do we always wait until it's too late, you know?
Prevention,
Why can't I just come in and be like, hey, I just want to know, am I okay? You know, are things okay? Am I managing this well? Can you give me some advice on how I can manage this better? It doesn't hurt. just give it a try.
So if we treat the mind like a muscle and we train it, what are 3 to 5 things you would advise people do to kind of protect their mental health?
Right, so the mind is a muscle. I always say this to people, like, you're happy going to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, right? And that workout could be anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And when you look at basic health, they say at least move 30 minutes, right? So I've noticed people can do that a lot easier than they can sit with themselves for 3 minutes. You know, so one of the things I always say to people is, A, can you be alone? Can you spend some time alone? And if not, why? For the people who can, I highly advise that they spend at least the first 10 minutes of their day or the last 10 minutes of their day just alone, just with themselves. No screens, no distractions, just to check in. Just like you were to hop in your car and check the dashboard to see if there's anything showing up, any warning signs showing up. How is the car feeling today? How are we doing? Am I good today? Do I have optimum energy? Am I able to move forward today? If not, what's missing? So just a self-check-in. That's one thing I always advise, and it's difficult to do because we're just in a high fast-paced life. We want to just move on, get out of bed, go do your things. But 10 minutes are crucial, even 5, you know. The other thing is, if people are prone to anxiety, and a lot of people are, I highly advise that people consider breathing. So this is not actually a universal tool, because some people can be too anxious to even focus on breathing. But if you've got moderate anxiety or you're, a little bit stressed here and there, try and slow your breathing down. Because again, we're very, very fast. So if you slow your breathing, you are actually slowing your mind, because you slow your heart. You're literally hijacking the whole system. Just slow down. And then another thing, and this I've noticed a lot of people do anyway, is journaling. So this can be you just writing to yourself on notes on the phone, or it could be you writing in a notebook. And people often think like, okay, well, how's this going to help me? So we process things when we write them. A lot of times there's all this stuff happening up here and we don't really know what's going on. But when you start to write it and you put word for word for word, and you start to see on a page, oh, all of that was in here and it was all jumbled up. It could just be like, take your 5 minutes a day, just do that. It's a check-in, it's a release, especially if you don't want to go to a therapist or you don't really want to share this certain problem with someone. It really, really helps. It doesn't cost anything, it's you and yourself. But the top thing I guess I would say, and if you've noticed, all of these techniques have to do with your relationship with yourself. Everybody's focused on their relationship with other people. But how's your relationship with yourself? Do you like yourself? That's really quite a scary question for a lot of people. So if you could treat your body or treat your mind the way you treat your body, where you go and you cater, you give nutrition, you hydrate, you go and train, you try and sleep, can you give that same attention to your relationship with yourself? Can you invest that way in yourself? That is something that really comes back.
I really liked what you said about the self-check-in, because I think sometimes when we pause and slow down, we understand exactly what we're feeling, because sometimes it can be so confused. Am I feeling sad? Am I anxious? Am I disappointed? But sometimes when you slow down and you just have that moment to breathe, you think, actually no, I'm feeling sad, I'm not disappointed. Why am I feeling sad? That check-in, and I know you mentioned in the morning. What about checking in and journaling in the evening, before you sleep? Get it all out.
This is really, really actually quite helpful, especially if you combine that with put your phone down. Put your phone down, okay? 1 hour before you sleep. I know it's a cliche thing and you read it everywhere, but it has a huge impact. The light coming off your screen and the fast-paced content that keeps showing up, this keeps your brain constantly active. If you could put the screens down an hour before you sleep and do all that, do the check-ins, do your journaling, that's a good way to wind down before you fall asleep and start your day well.
And how do you also feel as well, about people have to feel, I'm in this position now, but I would really like to get there. How do you feel about, like visualizing, this is who I want to be, this is how I want to feel? Just taking that moment just to think, so you truly understand, is that actually where I want to be? Or do I prefer to go in this direction?
What you're explaining has very strongly backed scientific evidence. Imagining and visualizing where you want to be and who you are now, and working on that, using that as something to look forward to. It can be a tool to pull you out of the darkest places. If I've got something to look forward to, or I've got a vision in mind of what I want to be, that's my motive. A lot of people live life without meaning and without purpose, and they often have depression. We all need a sense of purpose. We all need some goals. We all need something to look to or look forward to. And carrying that image is a very important thing. And then assessing also, is this really what I want? You know, maybe it's not. So then where do I go from here?
Yeah. And I think all these tools that you said, amazing. They're such good ways to kind of understand yourself. But it's not like a one-day thing or on a one-week thing. It's consistency.
Yeah.
It's about just showing up for yourself.
Absolutely. You said it perfectly. Showing up for yourself.
Yeah.
It's an investment. So I kind of want to ask you a question. Seeing as you are working with so many different people and you see them on a weekly basis maybe, what are some of the warning signs that you see when you're working with people you know and you're like, there's something off? How can you tell?
Really, really good question. And I think there's no specific answer because each of my clients are so different. So some of the most common things I say is their energy. So I have a client who's super chatty, always talking. She'll come in and she's very irritated. She can barely say hi. So I can know straight away then. So I'll give her a few moments, let her, we'll warm up, we'll just talk about other things, and then we'll tiptoe around it and find out. Other ladies, it's health. Migraines, shoulder pain, that there's no reason to have that. So these are the warning signs that I say a lot. Also illness. Right. I have it's common with a lot of clients where they can get sick a lot of the time. But for me, it's more kind of like I know them so well, so it's their energy. It's just a feeling I get when I see them. You can tell, I'm sure you know with your clients, you can tell by their face, their body language, even how they've come to the gym that day. They're not in their workout outfit, they're wearing something different. I'm like, oh, hold on, what's happening here?
So basically what you're saying is your gut feeling is really on point.
Yes. Well, I'm not going to say it's always right.
I trust your gut. You seem to know, and you're right. It's the energy in people.
I have, like I said, many clients, not just my own one-to-one clients, but clients I say in the gym, if I do see these warning signs and I'm unable to help, but I know it's kind of serious, how do you feel is the best way to approach that?
Well, I think, like you mentioned, to just be compassionate, to say, you did really well today, but I know that you're not yourself today. I'm here if you need me. I'm here if you just want to say a couple of things. You've got to also consider that you don't want to put too much load on you, right?
Yeah.
You can be compassionate and offer that space, but it is limited, right? So if you see someone is struggling and they're able to open up to you, maybe you can even say to them, hey, maybe you should talk to someone. Right? Offer that from a compassionate stance and then just see how it goes.
Yeah. That's really, really, really good. Really good advice. Physical strength pushes you forward. Mental health keeps you consistent. When your mind and body work together, that's when performance begins. Thank you, Fatima, for joining us today.
Well, it's really a pleasure to be here. And to everyone listening and watching, take care of your mind the way you take care of your body.
This is Coach Victoria.
And this is Fatima.
And this is Spark Unlocked.